Hi everyone, I'm Sugandha and you're watching Ready with HR and I hope so you all are well and yes, you all are waiting for this day 2 payroll workshop. This is payroll compliance and legal framework. I think you have seen last session. Let's have a quick recap of day 1 where we have discussed about the introduction to payroll management and yes, we have discussed about 12 days workshop, what we will be doing in this day 1 to day 12. Okay, so we have discussed about the payroll process, payroll software and tools, salary structure. We would be discussing and employee benefits and deduction, leave management and payroll reporting and audit, advanced payroll topics, and hands-on payroll processing. And on day 12, we would be discussing payroll best practices and future trends. Okay, so on day 1, we have discussed about introduction to payroll management. In that, we have discussed key components like what is employee earnings, deductions, payroll disbursement, record keeping, and then what is the importance of payroll in HR and finance. Like for HR, employee satisfaction is there, compliance with the labor laws, employee records management. For finance, it's different, like budgeting and forecasting, cash flow management, financial reporting. Okay, then we have discussed about the basic concepts in that gross pay, net pay, deductions, what kind of deductions are there, like statutory deductions, voluntary deductions, and what is the impact on payroll. And in this only we have discussed about the allowances and common types of allowances like HRA, travel allowance, medical allowance, and what is the purpose actually. Okay, so this we have discussed on day 1, and today we are going to discuss something interesting, that is this is payroll compliance and legal framework, and we are going to discuss understanding labor laws affecting payroll, key compliance requirements, importance of maintaining accurate payroll records. Okay, so these 3 things we are going to discuss today. Make sure to subscribe this channel if you're watching me for the very first time, and do hit that cute notification bell icon so that you could get my updates later on as well. And yes, if you need this day 1, then yes, you can check from the pinned comment. Okay, and yes, this 12 days payroll workshop you can check, and all these sessions are in Hindi language also. So if you are well versed in Hindi, you can check my other channel, that is Ready to Get Update, and you can check this payroll workshop there as well. Fine, so let's get started with understanding labor laws affecting payroll. So we all know, like in India, several labor laws impact payroll processes. Compliance with these laws is crucial to avoid legal penalties and ensure fair treatment of employees. And this is, very genuine and morally correct as well. You need to treat your employees in a fair manner. That's why these labor laws are there, and you have to follow the compliances. You have to follow the rules defined in these laws. Let's discuss about the key labor laws that directly influence payroll management. There are other laws as well, but yes, we are discussing about payroll in brief. So yes, we are going to discuss few acts, and you can check these acts also later on in 30 days statutory compliances workshop. Okay, so first is Minimum Wages Act 1948. So the purpose is the Minimum Wages Act ensures that workers are paid a minimum wage rate which varies by region, industry, and skill level. You can definitely see that in Minimum Wages Act they have defined properly the minimum wages as per region, industry, and skill level. If you want to deep dive into it, you can check. I have uploaded several sessions on my other channel, Ready to Get Update, 30 days statutory compliances workshop, and there I have done 3 sessions of Minimum Wages Act, and yes, definitely I would be including other sessions later on. So implication for payroll: employers must ensure that their payroll system adheres to the minimum wages standards set by the government. Failure to comply can lead to legal action and fines. Next is calculation. So the minimum wage includes the basic salary and dearness allowance. Payroll manager must regularly update wage rates as per government notification. See, government time to time, as per cost of living, as per rise of standard and rise of cost, increases these minimum wages. Okay, so you need to check from the government notification that if there is any update in the minimum wages, you must make changes and then calculate the wages in your organization. Fine. Next is Payment of Wages Act 1936. I always say that please remember these acts with the year. You can remember this when whenever you say the whole act with this year, like Payment of Wages Act 1936. Yes, I know now the codes are introduced, and codes on wages and codes on social security is there, and they're getting implemented. But yes, we must know the background of these acts and the basics of the law. So that's why we are discussing all this. Next is purpose. Now, see, Payment of Wages Act regulates the payment of wages to employees, ensuring timely and complete payment without unauthorized deductions. Means you have to pay to the employees timely and complete this payment without unauthorized deductions. You can't deduct anything from the payment and pay, okay, I have paid wages and I have deducted 5 days salary like this, 4 days deduction I have done. Why you have deducted it? You have to keep these provisions in mind while calculating the wages. What are the key provisions? Wages must be paid within a specified period. You can say typically before the 7th or the 10th day of the next month. Okay. Next is permissible deductions. What are the permissible deductions? Yes, definitely you will going to learn this in complete act while studying complete act. But yes, we can understand a little bit. So like fines, absence from duty, or loss of goods are limited and defined by law. What all other things are there, and you must check the amendments time to time as well. Next is what is the implication for payroll. Now, payroll systems must be set up to ensure that wages are disbursed within the legal time frame and that any deductions made from wages are lawful and documented. This is important. Okay. Next is Payment of Bonus Act 1965. Again, see, the purpose of this act is to mandate the payment of bonuses to employees based on profits or yes, productivity applicable to establishments employing a minimum number of workers. They have defined a minimum number of workers. Means you have to pay the bonus to the employees if your profits are above certain level, and that we have to calculate properly. Now I have made several sessions on bonus on payroll, practical sessions, so you can check from payroll processing playlist on my other channel, Ready to Get Update. You can have a look on that what on that Excel sheet. I have made practical session on the bonus calculation. Okay. Next is implication for payroll. Now, payroll managers must calculate bonuses as per the guidelines, considering factors like the company's profit and the employee's salary and tenure. Next is Maternity Benefit Act 1961. Again, this is a very important act. Now, the purpose is to entitle women employees to paid maternity leave and certain other benefits. Okay, what kind of benefits? Yes, there are several benefits in the act, mentioned in the act. Those benefits we are talking about. The main purpose is to provide these benefits, to provide maternity leave. Now, implication for payroll. Payroll systems must account for what? Paid leave and ensure compliance with the required duration of leave, that is 26 weeks as per the latest amendment. Okay, so you have to provide this leave as per this latest amendment. Next is Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Now, by this name, you can understand equal remuneration we are talking about. So, what equal? How can we pay? You can have a query like how you can pay equal. So, how we are talking about equal remuneration, that is equal pay for equal work regardless of gender, and this is the purpose. Equal pay for equal work regardless of gender. If a male and female is working on a same position, they are performing same kind of task, then equal pay should be offered to them. Okay, this is the main purpose. Now, implication for payroll. Payroll managers must ensure that there is no gender based pay discrimination within the organization. Even in interviews, even while negotiating salary, you can never say, okay, you are a female, so you will get this package. Okay, you understand that you are a female, so you will get less package. Okay, you can't say that. So this is Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Next is key compliance requirements. So, payroll compliance involves adhering to various statutory requirements related to employee compensation and benefits. Like while calculating compensation and benefits, we have to comply with some requirements, with some rules, with some statutory requirements. So, what are they? Some critical compliance areas are like PF, Provident Fund. We have to deduct it. Again, I have done a practical session. You can find it in the payroll processing playlist. Even on this channel, I have done 3 sessions where I have discussed about the yes, how to calculate net salary and about the attendance leave and all. Okay, there are total three sessions are there. You can check those sessions from the pinned comment. You will find it. Next is now a PF overview. The Employees Provident Fund is a retirement benefit scheme mandated by the Employees Providence and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952. This is a retirement benefit scheme which is mandated. This is mandatory. People often say that, ma'am, it is mandatory for our organization to deduct PF, but we are not deducting. Why you are not deducting? Why you are not able to convince your organization, your company to deduct? Why you are not telling them? Why you are not following these rules while calculating the payroll? Okay, so this is a big question. You must ensure that yes, you have told them, you have asked them, or you have discussed this matter with them. Okay, and if possible, mark a mail regarding this, that this is a statutory compliance and we are not following this. We must deduct PF. Okay. Next is employer's role again. Now see, employers must contribute 12% of the employee's basic salary to the EPF account with an equal contribution from the employee. Now here also people ask me, or you can say they complain, they say that okay, employers are not deducting, and even if they are deducting from employee's salary only. See, this 12% from the employer's side is from employer's side, not from employee's side. Okay, so this you have to understand, that if you are depositing this amount and if it's not from the employer's side, then yes, you are not complying. Okay, then it is non-compliance of this provident, then it is non-compliance of Provident Fund Act. Okay, so the employer is responsible for depositing both contributions, yes, with the Employees Provident Fund organization. Now let me clear it again. There are two sides of PF, Provident Fund. One is employer side, other side is employee side. Okay, so employer side is from employers only. Okay, they have to add that 12% plus cess and all from their side, and from salary employee side is deducted, and that combined is deposited in employees provident fund organization. Okay, so this is the proper procedure. Now, payroll impact. Payroll systems must accurately calculate and deduct PF contributions from employee salaries and ensure timely submission to the EPFO. Okay, this we have to do. We must comply with this. Next is employee state insurance. What is this? Employee state insurance is a self-financed social security and health insurance scheme for Indian workers governed by the Employees State Insurance Act 1948. Self-financed social security and health insurance scheme. Now, what is the eligibility? Employees earning 21,000 or less per month are eligible for ESI. The employer's contribution is what? 4.75% of employee's gross salary, and the employee contributes 1.75%. See, whenever you are watching this, please make sure to check these percentages, because these percentages may change time to time. Okay, so please don't say in the comment section, okay, these percentages are changed and you have told this and now this is this. Please, if it's changed, you can write in the comment section so that people are aware, and please write the date also, that when it's changed. Okay, so that people in the comment section, or people who are wondering, who are not aware that these rates are changed or supposed to be changed and why they are changed, they came to know the complete story. Okay, so yes, definitely you can write the corrections in the comment section, but please don't blame that I have said wrong or something, because when I'm shooting, then it's these percentages are there, and yes, if it will change in future, then yes, these will be changed. Next is payroll impact. Payroll managers must ensure that the correct ESI contributions are deducted and deposited with the employee's state insurance corporation. Next is professional tax. Now, what is professional tax? It is a state level tax levied on employees and professionals based on their income. The rates and rules vary across the states. Payroll impact. Now, employers must deduct professional tax from employees' salary as per the applicable state laws and remit it to the respective state government. Next is Labor Welfare Fund. So we all know that Labor Welfare Fund is a statutory contribution managed by various state labor welfare boards. It aims to provide welfare facilities to workers. Now, employees must deduct and contribute to the Labor Welfare Fund based on state specific regulations. This involves a minimum monthly or yearly deduction from employee's salary matched by employer's contribution. Okay, this is also important. We must comply with these compliances actually. Now, last is importance of maintaining accurate payroll records. Why it is important, and yes, we have several reasons for it. First and foremost is legal compliance, and in this we are going to discuss about the documentation and audit trails. Now, see, payroll records definitely serve as evidence of compliance with labor laws and tax regulations. And in the event of an audit or legal dispute, accurate records can protect the organization. Next is audit trails. So, proper record keeping creates a clear audit trail, making it easier to track any discrepancies and resolve them quickly. If we have a proper record, then yes, we can check it, we can verify it, and whatever the discrepancy is, we can resolve it quickly. Next is financial reporting, and in financial reporting, first thing is transparency, second is budgeting. Now, accurate payroll records contribute to transparent financial reporting, which is critical for stakeholders, including investors, auditors, and regulatory bodies. Next is budgeting. Now, payroll data helps in what? In accurate budgeting and forecasting, allowing the organization to manage its finances effectively. This is important. Next is employee trust. So, accuracy and dispute resolution. See, if we are maintaining accurate records, it will ensure the employees are paid correctly and on time, which will foster trust and satisfaction. Employees will have trust. They will be satisfied. Okay, we are working in a good organization. We are working in an organization where everything is ethical. Next is dispute resolution. In case of payroll disputes, accurate records provide the necessary information to resolve issues fairly and efficiently. Next is tax compliance. Again, filing returns and avoiding penalties. So, payroll records are crucial for filing accurate tax returns and ensuring that the correct amounts are withheld and remitted to tax authorities. Avoiding penalties. Now, inaccurate or incomplete records can lead to penalties and fines from tax authorities or other regulatory bodies. So, if you want to avoid penalty fines, then yes, you have to maintain accurate and complete records. Fine. So this is all. If I have to summarize, then yes, definitely I can say that we have understood what labor laws affecting payroll, key compliance requirements, and what is the importance of maintaining accurate payroll records. So this is all. In the next session on day 3, we will be discussing income tax and payroll, their overview of income tax laws in India, TDS like tax deducted at source on salaries, understanding tax slabs, exemptions and deductions, that is ATC, ATD, calculation of taxable income. This we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, so don't miss this day 3. And yes, if it's helpful, you can tell me in the comment section, and what all you're looking for. You can check pin comment for other sessions as well. We have HR course module 4, up to module 4 we have uploaded there, and recruiter playlist is there, recruiter workshop was there, HR 15 days workshop was there. So you can check all those sessions from the pin comment, and do tell me what all you need and what all you're looking for. If it's helpful, please do let me know in the comment section. Till next video, all the very best. To stay happy, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.